Hi guys, welcome to Yoga with Jennifer. This is a 15-minute workout for strength. So we're going to start off in our tabletop position and begin our cat-cow, inhaling up and exhaling down. Thinking about awakening the spinal fluid for your practice. And staying with this motion, or we're going to add a bit of extra movement in here. Coming over to the right, back to the center, to the left, back to the center, extended child's pose, and then forwards. And then just make your way through that range of movements. Coming back to tabletop, we're going to do a wrist stretch now. So just taking your fingers and pointing them in towards each other and gently sitting back. And then taking your fingers and pointing them out to the edge of the mat. And then fully rotating your hands so your fingers are pointing towards your knees. Sitting ever so slightly back. And then finally flipping your hands over and taking a gentle stretch. I'm going to come up into our first downward facing dog now. Lifting right leg up into the air, 3 pulses. And then taking your knee pointed towards your left elbow, followed by right and back into the air. And left, then right and back into the air. And we're going to do 2 more. And now bending at the knee and coming into a 3-legged dog, stacking hips on top of each other. Opening up through the chest, gaze is looking out to the side. Coming back into your dog and lifting up your left leg. 3 pulses here. And then sweeping it down to your right and then your left elbow. And the right, then left. And 2 more. And then bending at the knee, coming into that 3-legged dog, stacking one hip on top of the other, opening up. Now we're going to do a split hand downward facing dog. So taking your left hand, pointing your fingers towards your toes. Coming back to the center. And then taking your right hand back. We're going to jump to the front of the mat now. And begin moon salutation. Hands to heart center, lifting them up to the sky, coming up onto your toes, and bending over to the left hand side and to center, followed by right. Lifting up the left leg now, opening up into warrior. And we're going to transition into triangle pose. Coming directly into pyramid pose. And then coming forward on that front knee. Lifting your arms up, gentle back bend. And then squatting into that left knee, keeping the toes on the right hand side pointed and transitioning over to the right side. Pivoting round, gentle back bend. Hands coming back down, coming to center and transitioning up into your pyramid pose. Coming into triangle pose. And returning back to warrior. Taking right leg up to join left, hands to heart center. Taking your hands up to the sky, bending over to the right hand side, followed by left hand side. Coming up onto your toes, and you're halfway through the sequence. Hands coming back to center, up to the sky, gentle back bend. Coming out to the right hand side, and then to the center, followed by left and center. Stepping out with your right leg into warrior pose. Transitioning into triangle pose, right hand side down. Dialing back to the center, coming into pyramid pose, right foot forward. And coming into a low lunge. Hands are coming to the sky, gentle back bend. Dialing it back round to the center, squatting on that right hand side to begin with, left toes pointed out, and transitioning over to the left hand side. Dialing it round to the front of your mat, gentle back bend, and coming straight up into your pyramid pose, left foot forward. Transitioning into triangle pose. And coming back up into your warrior. Take left leg over to join your right, hands to heart center, raise them to the sky, gentle back bend. Bending over to the left hand side and center and right and back to center, coming up onto your toes, and you're finished. Coming down into a reverse tabletop now. So your fingertips are pointing towards your back, lifting up through the pelvis, and we're going to lift up our right leg. Followed by left, keeping those hips elevated, and then right, and then left. Right, and then left. Coming down to the mat now, taking your legs out in front of you, pointing your toes, keeping your fingers pointed towards your back. We're going to stretch up into a reverse plank. And we're going to lift up our right leg, followed by left, and repeat. Coming into standing on the mat now. And we're going to come into our chair pose. And coming up on the toes, awkward pose. And then coming back to center. And we're going to do that again. Coming up onto your toes, finding your focus, and release. So we're going to come into chair pose again. This time we're going to have eagle legs. So shifting your weight over to the left hand side, tucking your right leg around, and then gently sitting into the chair pose, bringing hands to heart center. And coming out, shifting weight over to the right hand side, lifting up the left leg, giving yourself enough space to be able to wrap your leg around your right leg. Sitting down into the pose, bringing hands to heart center. and coming out. And we're going to come into stick pose. So shifting the weight over, right hand side, pivoting from the hips, lifting your left leg out behind you and then stretching out with your arms in front of you. And back to center. Shifting weight onto your right leg now, left leg comes out and taking arms out in front of you. We're going to come down on the mat now for a cool down. Just bring your knees into your chest. Gently holding them with your hands, and then reclining pigeon pose. Swapping legs, right leg coming to left. And then taking legs out to the right hand side, faces coming to the left. Returning to the center, legs coming out to the left hand side, face goes over to the right. Gently rolling up into a sitting position, bringing hands to heart center and forward bend. Coming back to the center, and you're done. Well done, and thanks for joining me.